All right, we are live. All right, what's up, y'all? This is Will Nakuzi. Welcome to another episode of the Kava Club podcast. I do have a special guest today, special guest, and man, we had some technical difficulties just to make it to this podcast, but I'm glad we're here. We finally made it, um, and yeah, I'll let her introduce. Go ahead and introduce herself.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm Anna Bergeson. I am 20 years old and I am from Utah. I live in Murray, but yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Nice, Utah, baby. And what's your ethnicity?
I'm Tongan, full Tongan.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Tongan. All right. So, yeah, the first question I want to ask you is, how did you grow up?
For sure. So I'm actually adopted. So
Okay.
both my parents are Palangi, and then I have a younger brother who's African American and an older brother who's Asian. We're each 2 to 4 years apart. But
Okay.
I've grown up in Utah my whole life. Um, Lived in Murray since I was 5. Went to Cottonwood High School, but yeah, I've been raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints for my whole life.
Yeah.
Um, let's see what else. I met my birth family my junior year in
Hmm.
high school. It was actually a closed adoption, so I met them on accident at a
Oh,
track meet.
wow.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So that was crazy.
Okay. How'd that go?
It was really good. It was really random too because I never did sports in high school. I was always in leadership. So
Hmm.
I was always doing music, theater, and then different things like that. I was in student government. And then I decided I wanted to be on a team because cool people do sports. So I decided to join track and field. And then during the preseason, my little brother was doing speed training camps at the high school, at Cottonwood High School, with the Sofele family. And one of the other kids that was doing it with them was my birth mom's best friend.
Okay.
And she was a Kafusi. And then when she saw me, she went to my mom and she says, "Oh, I know your daughter's mom, her birth mom." And my mom
Yeah.
freaked out. She goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, no, 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 no. She doesn't need to know that right now. She's content in her life and she knows who she is." And I really was.
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm cool. I don't need to know who my birth family is. Like it's whatever."
Yeah.
And but then I started getting bullied in high school. A lot of the Polynesians were telling me like, "You're not actually Polynesian, you're not Tongan, you haven't been raised that way, so you don't know anything about us and you're not a part of us." And that really hurt me, and I was like, I don't want to be
Yeah.
Tongan. I don't want to have any part of being a Pacific Islander because look how rude they're being to me. I don't want to have anything to do with that. And my mom was actually really angry about that. She said, "No, you need to love who you are. You need to be who you
Yeah.
are. You need to be comfortable in your own skin." And so she decided to look up my birth mom and to find out what my last name was and who what family I belonged to other than my family right now. And
Yeah.
as she was doing that, she was talking to my birth mom, but I didn't want anything to do with it because I was really against all of it. But go back to like our first track meet. Um, there are 3 boys left at the high school, and my mom was like, "Oh, I'll pick them up. I'll bring them over." And so
Hmm.
she comes, she brings the boys. They're all walking through the stands, and then she sees my birth mom coaching another team,
Yeah.
and she comes up to me and she goes, "Anna, your birth mom is here. She's coaching that other team over there. Do you want to meet her?" And
Yeah.
I freaked out. I was like, "No, I don't want to meet her. This is not the right time, not the right place. I don't want anything to do with her."
Hmm.
Um, but then, like as the day went on, like I had said a prayer, like what do I do? Should I say hello to her? Do I need to meet her? And then right after my last event, after shot put, um, my mom said, Anna, your birth mom's standing over there by the fence, by the track. And I was like, I had this overwhelming feeling like, oh my goodness, I need to go say hi to her, but I really don't want to. And I was like frozen in my tracks. And then like I just felt myself walking over to her, and her back was facing me. And then I went over to her and I tapped her on the shoulder. And I can remember like she just turned around and we both made eye contact. And then we all started crying. It was like she knew exactly who I was. And she just
Yeah.
hugged me and she said, I love you. I've missed you. And like, and then she called my mom over. She says, thank you for raising her the way you did. Like, she is who she is because of you. And that
Yeah.
was like my first interaction with her. And I couldn't have imagined it any better.
Yeah, man, that's, I have this principle I believe in, like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah,
That like there's nothing that's random in our life. Like even though it may seem random, but there's like a purpose behind it.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what are the chances of you meeting your mom, your birth mom, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Like there's like 6 billion people in this world, and so many places you could be at one time, and you just
Exactly.
happen to meet. That's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
So after meeting your birth mom, like did that, like how did that help you, like eternally, as far as your mindset, your how you feel about yourself and your confidence, like because I know that, I mean, I'm sure, like, I mean, I do know some people that were adopted. So sometimes a lot of my friends are adopted. Growing up, they always have this like a feeling that they try to figure out where they belong, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
for sure.
Because so what did that did for you? So once you met your birth mom, like how did that, what did you feel, and how did that help you with anything, if anything? So I want to ask you
Yeah.
that question.
I honestly, I think it helped other people, especially at my school. So I went to Cottonwood High School, and a lot of my cousins went to that high school as well.
Okay.
But they did a lot of my bio cousins, but they didn't know who I was, and they were
Yeah.
a part of the people who were bullying me at school.
Yeah.
And once they knew that I was related to them, it was like all of that went away. Like
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, yeah, your family. Like now we got you," and like that was really interesting to me. I was like, "So if we weren't family, you still wouldn't like accept me for who I
Yeah.
am or what I'm doing, but like because we are now, it's different." So that was really interesting to me. But I guess it helped me to know that I'm good where I am, who I
Hmm.
am. Like the things that I'm doing, I know I'm making a difference, and I don't have to be like everyone else doing sports or singing and like that, thinking that's the only way that I can succeed.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of my cousins, my bio cousins, are that way. A lot of them play for the U, and that's all they do. But yeah, I think it just grounded me more in myself, knowing that I'm okay with who I am and I don't need to depend on anyone else to tell me who I am.
So I want to ask you. So those kids that were bullying you, right?
Hmm.
Uh, were they bullying you? Were they bullying you because you lived? Oh, yo yo yo.
Sorry. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good.
Let's see. Is it working? Are we
Yes.
good?
Yep. 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 It's all good.
Sorry about
No, no, you're good. You're good. Um, yeah. So my question is, so those polys, because I've heard, I mean, I heard so many stories of people getting bullied by different polys, and for me that just for me, bullying your own people, that doesn't make sense to me. It's like, you know
Yeah.
that's something that just doesn't make sense to me. But I know it's something that happens in real life. But were they bullying you because because you didn't grow up with Polynesians, right?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay.
So I was adopted, and where I live, there aren't any polys here. Like, until I got to my ninth grade year of junior high and then went to high school,
Mhm.
that was like the first time I had ever interacted or had friends who were Polynesian, and they weren't even Tongan, they were Samoan. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, my Samoan family. But like I had
Yes.
no clue like who anyone was. Yeah.
Okay. So
Sorry,
they
what
were
was
just
your
bullying you.
question?
So they're just no. So no. So they were just bullying you because like you didn't know anything about the culture, or they didn't in their minds they didn't feel like you were Polynesian enough.
Yeah. Well, they also bullied me because like I was different than all of them. So I was in like theater, I was in the musicals at school, I was doing choir, I was in student government. I was one of those kids who hung out with all the white kids. And like they were like, that's not cool. That's something that we don't do. And like I didn't know the language or anything, but neither did they. They just knew all the bad words. But
So that's what that, so that was what that's why I was getting at, because one thing I realized about our own culture is like they always try to belittle or bully other Polynesians that live a different lifestyle. So like
yeah,
if you don't do what everybody else is doing, so if you like things or hang around different types of people, they have this mentality that you wanna you like you feel palangi, you want to be
yeah,
white or something, but they don't realize like everybody we all different people. Like we can like different things,
for
but
sure.
it's just but we just have this closed mindset or belief that if you're not doing what everybody else is doing, that you're not considered poly.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you met your birth mom, uh, did did that make you feel a lot better as far as your feeling, as far as like you feeling Polynesian, or or no, not really, as far as your self identity?
Um, I mean, it was cool to like know my Polynesian last name, and like for dating, I was like, oh yep, we're related. Like that
Yeah.
was nice, but I mean, I don't know if it like helped with like me feeling more Polynesian, because I think I'm as Polynesian as I can get right now.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So what was the hardest thing for you like growing up? What was the hardest thing for you that you went through growing up?
um, Growing up, I don't think I like really struggled with anything until after high school. Like
Yeah.
my whole life has been wonderful. I've
Yeah.
had the gospel in my life. I mean, I have a loving family. Both my parents are still together. Like
Yeah.
it, it's really wonderful. And like I have a good connection with my birth family, and like I can see them, and everyone around me in my inner circle is very accepting and welcoming, and so is my family. So I don't think like I've struggled with anything up until after high school.
Okay. So what happened in high school?
So after high school ended, so my senior year, I was the football manager. I was also the SBO president, the student body officer president of my high school.
Hmm.
So I was at the school from 6 a.m. till like 8:10 p.m. every day for my
Hmm.
whole senior year. And then when my senior year ended, I didn't have anything. I Everything just stopped happening, and I was lost. I didn't know what to do with my life. I felt like my purpose had been filled, and like there was nothing left for me. So I actually fell into a state of depression,
Hmm.
and I was in my room for 3 months, and my mom couldn't get me out or couldn't get me doing anything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until someone told me like, hey, are you okay? Like they checked on me and they said like, we've noticed that we haven't seen you at anything, we just wanted to check on you. And that's when I realized like, oh, I'm not okay. Like I haven't done anything for the past 3 months. And
Yeah.
that's when I was put on medication. the lowest amount, but for depression, I was put on medication. And I actually started to set goals for myself. And that's when I decided I wanted to go on a mission.
Okay.
I decided I wanted to spend the next year getting ready to go on my mission and to prepare and do everything that I could to be the person that I wanted to become. And then that whole year went by. It was pretty amazing. I made new friends. I was out. I was doing things. I joined National Tongan American Society. I was volunteering at elementary schools, in high schools. I was talking about mental health. I was just like doing all these wonderful things, and I had found something that I loved to do.
Okay.
But right after high school, that was probably one of my biggest downfalls, was losing the sense of me being needed. Sorry, you froze.
Nope. Okay. We good?
Yeah, we're good now. Sorry. You froze for a second and I was like, Sorry, you're frozen again.
We good now?
Kind of, you're lagging just a little bit.
Okay. All right. Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. All right. So in high school, I mean, I feel like a lot of us in high school go through that.
For sure.
When like when because like high school goes by really really fast. So, um, did you when you grew up? Did you have any Did you feel it? Did you?
Sorry, you're breaking up again.
Okay. Okay. Is it better? Better now? Is it better now?
Sorry.
Still lagging? All right, we're back. Okay, we live. Okay, we gotta make it through this. All right, we gotta make it through this.
Yes.
All right, we gotta make it through this. All right, for sure. No, I wanted to ask you. So, because I feel like a lot of us go through that in high school.
Yeah.
High school goes by so fast. Next thing you know, it's gone already. Uh, were there any expectations for you growing up? Uh, like did people expect things out of you, or were there certain a plan or goals that was already expected of you to fulfill, and you don't or you didn't meet those, and that kind of led you to the point where you feel like, oh wow, I'm not where I need to be, and then you feel like your life was out of control. I'm always interested in figuring out what was all the psychology behind of what that led to your depression. But I want to ask you that question. Did you ever feel like in your life like you had to fulfill a certain expectation because that's what your family expected out of you, or because you're Polynesian, because whatever the case is for you. But I want to ask you that question.
For sure. Um, I honestly don't think that my family had expectations for me.
Yeah.
My parents always push me to be the best that I can be, but
Yeah.
there's no expectation of saying this is where you need to be. This is the level that I want you
Okay.
at.
Got you.
It was always like my expectations for myself. Like,
Yeah.
I can be better than this. I can be better than this.
Yeah.
And when I didn't meet my own expectations is when I would feel like I failed. But other people would tell me, like, you're doing amazing, like you're doing all these great things, and I was like, no, I'm failing myself. And I think that's when it hit me after high school, was like, after I had finished all these things, like, I had no expectations for myself. I didn't know what was going to go on. I I had quit. Like, I didn't want to go to college because I didn't want to go to the University of um, well, I didn't want to go to Utah Valley University,
Yeah.
but and I decided that I wanted to go to Slick, and I thought like that was my downfall. Like, Salt Lake Community College, it's a community college, and like that's the worst place a kid can go who's like done all these amazing things in high school, and like I felt that I had failed myself and that I didn't deserve to go anywhere better because I wasn't good enough for anything. And that's like one of my biggest downfalls.
Where do you feel like you got that because I feel like you have when you're growing up as a kid you had high expectations for yourself, right? That's what
For,
it seems like. So where did you
yeah.
get that? But where did you get that expectations? Was it were you trying to prove people wrong or like because based on how you explain your childhood, it looked like you had a beautiful childhood, you had a great support system, you had parents that loved you,
Yeah.
right? So where did you get that feeling? Where did it come from? Where you had that feeling that you had to be great or you had all these high expectations that you just placed on yourself for whatever reason? But like I'm just trying to figure out like kind of a reverse engineer like where'd you get this from?
Yeah. I don't think I got it from growing up. Like,
Yeah.
not at all. I think it was when I got into high school and I started going into student government
Okay.
where you're put on a pedestal. You're
Got
put in
you.
front of
Oh,
the whole
got you.
school and you have your face is the one that everyone knows.
Oh,
And
okay.
like for me that was like scary. Like I love being in the on stage and performing with people, but like once you have a title and a name and that means something to people,
Okay,
I
got
was
you.
like, there's an expectation. Everybody's watching me. If I mess up, then I'm the worst person in the world.
Got you, got you. Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, because like when you become like the student body president,
Yeah.
everybody thinks you like you're gonna have a great future. Like you're gonna be the next
Yeah.
president.
Exactly. I hated that. That was my worst thing in school. I just wanted to be one of like the normal kids. But everyone that's one of the phrases that people would use all the time was like, "Oh, you're popular." I hated
Yeah,
that. I was like, I am not popular. I'm just kind to people and people reciprocate it.
yeah,
But popular kids are the ones, when you hear the word popular, it's like someone stuck up, they're rich, they're snobby,
yeah,
they're high up there. And I did not like that definition put on me. Like
yeah.
I didn't want to be known as
It's
someone
okay if you
popular.
were. I'm not judging. It's okay if you were. I'm not judging. I'm just joking. I'm
Yeah,
just
I hated being called popular because I
yeah,
was like, I'm really not. Like, I don't have a group of friends that I hang out with every weekend, and I don't have like a big group of friends who always wants me to come. I'm there when people need me, and then when they don't need me, I'm in my room. I'm like working on things that need to be done. And
yeah,
like people had like this different picture of me, that I was at all the parties, I was doing everything that cool kids do, but
yeah.
like I'm normal like them.
Now I understand why all the Poly kids were hating. Were you were popular. They just didn't.
uh,
They were used to seeing a popular Tongan girl. Ah, that makes sense. Now I know why they were all bullying you.
Nah, they were the popular ones. You know, all those white girls love those poly boys.
I know, right? Okay, okay, that makes sense. So you had these high expectations for yourself. I wanted to ask you. So you said you fell into depression.
Uh-huh.
So um, why didn't you reach out to anybody? I just want to ask you. Why didn't you like uh, ask for help um, or talk about what you were going through?
I didn't know that I was depressed.
Got you. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Like, I had no clue. Like, I didn't think it could happen to me because, I was always like this super happy girl who
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone was like, she smiles all the time. Nothing's wrong with
Yeah.
her. And
Yeah.
like, I had convinced myself like that would never happen to me.
Yeah.
And yet it did. And I didn't even realize it until people were reaching out to me saying like, you're acting different, is everything okay? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with me. But then like looking back at it and like thinking about how I had done nothing for a couple months, I was like, oh, there is something different. Like, what, I don't know what's going on. And that's when I actually went to the doctors, and I was like, they had me fill out one of those depression or anxiety things, and it's like a list of 1 to 5 of how often like you feel happy or sad, or you sleep or you're not sleeping. And like I filled one of those out, and it was really, really high on the depression scale.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
was like, oh yikes. Yes, let's help me out. Let's fix that.
yeah, yeah. I think I could totally relate because I feel like growing up, especially for me, I'm Tongan, so we never talked about feelings or mental health. Like, so a lot of us, we don't even know what depression is. Even if
Yeah,
so even when we're going through it, we're like, what? We don't even know, right? We don't know. I think that's one of the challenges of not knowing of not talking about certain things, and especially when it comes to mental health.
for sure.
Okay, um, so how did so when you went get some help from the doctor, um, were there anything that they taught you to how to learn how to overcome your depression? What are the things that you did for yourself to kind of get you out of that situation? I want to ask you that question.
For sure. I actually just they told me to start exercising more, to eat healthier, like do things for my body first.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it got worse, or if it was getting worse, like there's always medication that they can put us on for that lift. And so that's what I did for the next couple months. I was going to the gym, I was eating healthier, I was doing the things that I needed for myself. I found my purpose. I was finding things that I love to do. So I was doing service in elementary schools with special needs kids. I was going to National Tongan American Society and helping them with whatever they need. And like those things were lifting me and making me happier. And after a few months, like I didn't need to be on medication anymore. And like I had found ways to cope with myself, and to say like, even though I have these thoughts, like I can push them out of my head because I know I'm needed, and I don't have to reach everything that I think I need to do, because I'm making a difference, even if it's small. And I think that was one of the biggest things for me, was like knowing that I didn't have to live up to the expectations that I give to myself, but that even the smallest things that I'm doing are making a difference.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, because like I feel like the one thing I always um, tell people, what for me when I went through I've gone through depression as well. I think the one thing I've learned, and I always kind of teach it to my younger cousins and my younger family members, is letting them know that depression or going through that phase of your life is normal, right? Because sometimes you know it. Sometimes when you go through depression, you feel like you're a weirdo. Like why am I? You feel like this is not what normal people go through because everybody
Yeah.
else is happy, and for some reason I'm hella sad for no reason.
Yeah.
But then you kind of realize like everybody goes through depression. It's a normal, we all go through it. We all going through something. And then so when you got out of your so once you got out of your depression, what was different about yourself? I want to ask you, what was different about yourself once you overcame it, you gone through it? Because I feel like when you go through those phases in your life, you come out of it a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
You come, because that's saying, the storms in your life are meant to, are meant to happen for you so you can come out of it, being a better person. So I want to ask you, what kind of person did you become coming out of that depression? And I want to give that insight to a lot of people because I feel like there's a lot of people that's gonna be watching this. They've gone through the depression, but it's really hard. But
Yeah.
it's really really hard to tell somebody that's going through depression. Just don't worry about it. It's meant for you. All
Yeah.
right,
No,
because
I agree.
when you go through depression, you don't see any kind of light. You don't see any kind of better day.
For
All
sure.
right, so all you see is darkness. So it's really hard to tell people that's going through stuff like just just dug it out. Just hold on. There's better
Yeah.
days coming. But so I do want to. So that's why I want to ask you this question. So everybody that's watching right now, that's going through depression, to know that your depression is just another phase in your life. That you just got to keep going, do something different, exercise, eat healthy, whatever you have to do. But just understand that it will pass one day. It's not everything's. It's not forever.
Yeah,
Once it does pass, one day you do wake up one day and you're a lot better, and then life moves on. So I want to ask you, what kind of woman and person did you become after your depression? And I want you to share that with everybody.
for sure. I think um let me gather my thoughts. I think I came out stronger, a lot
Yeah.
stronger in
How?
knowing who I was.
Okay.
Um I I was a lot stronger in knowing my resources as well, and knowing
Hmm.
that if I ever fell back, and which I did, but knowing that I had people to fall back on, that
Okay.
there were people supporting me no matter what. I
Okay.
knew that my family loved me, and I knew that Heavenly Father loved me. That was probably my biggest change, was that I relied solely on the gospel. I learned how to read the scriptures. I learned how to seek for answers and to pray to Heavenly Father, and know that even though I was like alone in a room, I can always pray and
Okay.
feel that I wasn't alone. And I know that really, really helped me, especially to gain confidence back in myself, that I'm a child of God. Like
Yeah.
I have divine potential, and I think that just lifted me higher than I had thought of myself before, knowing that I was living the best life that I could, and God was proud of me.
Oh man, that's beautiful. That's nice. Yeah. So you learned. So that I feel like that. Everybody's experience is different, but yeah, that's great that you learned about the gospel itself, and I think that's very powerful for people to understand that that God's always there for them. You know, because I feel like
For,
sometimes when you go through when you go through the hard times of your life, you kind of sometimes you're like, why God, why,
yeah,
why me, like why me? But you have to realize that like everything happens for a reason, and God always has a great purpose for, especially when you go through it.
yeah,
Okay,
100%.
so I kind of want to ask you. So I kind of want to talk about culture a little bit.
Hmm.
Transition, if we can transition to that topic. So I want to ask you is what kind of culture did you grow up? Because I know you grew up with you grew up with everything. So I don't know what kind of culture you grew up with. Yeah. So I want to ask you what kind of culture you grew up in your life. Uh, what was your experience in the culture you grew up in? What were the pros, the cons, the good things about it, the challenges? So I want to I kind of want to talk about this a little bit.
For sure. Um, can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Yep.
What is your definition of culture?
Culture to me is um, the beliefs and the values that we grew up in. That's what
Got
culture to me. So every culture, every based on your environment, based on your surrounding of who you grew up with, we're all taught beliefs and we're all taught different values and principles to live by. Because I feel like
for
as
sure.
a person, we have our own character, and our character is our own principles and values we live by. So as Polynesian family, Tongan is an example. We're taught we're really big on the value of family. So we're very family oriented. We grew up in that culture. So I grew up with going to church. So God is a big part of what I believe in. And of course, all the customs and traditions that come with the Tongan and being Polynesian. All right. But
For
also,
sure.
but I also grew up in America too. So I also grew up in a lot of American culture too. So the one thing I love about American culture is expressing yourself. Uh, meant, finding your own happiness, to more opportunity, to create your own dreams and live your own life. So that's also that's a so for me, I have a lot of things from my Tongan culture, and I have a lot of things in the American culture because I grew up in both worlds. So that's my answer.
Gotcha.
so, so I'm gonna throw that alley oop back to you. I caught that
Yeah, of
assist, so I'm
course.
throwing it back to you.
Sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you. But yeah, I think my culture is very based off of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yep.
That's solely what my family is like. That's why we're together, is because we're able
Yep.
to be sealed in the temples. But we're very family oriented. I don't know what I would do without my cousins, my grandparents, anyone, my parents, my siblings. We're very family oriented. I really missed them actually during this pandemic, like not being able to see them because a lot of my aunts and uncles, they're essential workers in the hospitals,
Mm-hmm.
and like not seeing them is like a part of me taken away. It's
Mm-hmm.
sad and hard not to live with them, but I think that's a big part of my family's culture, as well as religion. Religion is very important to us, saying prayers, knowing that we can be together forever, because of temples and being sealed and the priesthood. I love the priesthood. I'm very
Yep. Yep.
thankful for the opportunity to have a priesthood holder in our home. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I know that's a place where my family has come to be very accepting, is
Mm-hmm.
that not everyone in our family is a member of the church, or they're
Okay.
very less active. And I think that's a big part of our culture as well, is just to be accepting of others, to love them as they are, and to help them become who they want to be as well. um, yeah, I think, yeah, I think that's everything that I have right now.
Okay, that's good. That's cool. Did you have growing up like were because every culture there's standards and expectations and roles for men and women,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I want to ask you about that. So what were the expectations or the roles, the standards that was placed upon you in your as a woman in your experience? And were there any challenges with that,
Gotcha.
or were there I want to ask you about your own experience as a woman growing up in your own culture.
Yeah. Um, I really don't think there were any like limits put onto me. Um, in my family, especially, like, my dad is a priesthood holder, but my mom is the head of the house. she
Yep.
she is who we go to for everything. Um, but really, I don't think I was taught that women do only these things and men do these things.
Okay.
Um, roles in our house is very like, you you play your role in the house, but you give and take as much as someone else is giving and taking from you.
Yeah.
We're equal in every way, but also in different things that we do. Like if I clean the bathroom, then you sweep the family room, and
Yeah.
like just things like that. But I don't think there was ever a time where I felt like, oh, because I'm a girl, I can't do this. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. 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 That's just, that's pretty cool. So, I want to ask you also. So, did you ever feel like? I mean, because I know you're Tongan. You're that's biologically you're a Tongan woman. Um, did you ever struggle growing up? You know, because you're trying to. Because when you grow up and you're Tongan and you see that you're not part of that culture. Like, did you ever struggle with that growing up? Like, feel like that you wanted to connect being a Tongan woman, or because that's how everybody perceives you. That's how everybody sees you as. That even though you're growing up in your own culture, but then there's other people who are like, okay, you should be this way because you're Tongan, you're Tongan woman. And I know that could be maybe that could be kind of tough because people don't understand how you grew up.
Yeah.
So how was that?
Um, elementary, junior high, high school,
Yeah.
not a problem. Like I actually felt as if like I I wanted to be black when I was little. Like
Okay.
that's how I felt. Like because I was brown skinned, there was we learned about so much like segregation between the two. I always was thinking that I was African American or black because of my little brother.
Yeah.
And I was so into his culture and like standing up for what is right and standing up for him that like I wanted to immerse myself there. But uh, I mean, I still do that. Like, I love his background and his ethnicity and all the things that they celebrate. But I think when I really started wanting to be Tongan was before I left on my mission. Um, because I was going to a Tongan ward, there were so many like expectations for me to be like this amazing like Polynesian girl who was doing all these amazing things and repping Tongans. And like,
Yeah.
I think that was where I was so afraid. I was like, oh, I need to know everything about the culture so that I'm not messing up anything and like that I
Yeah.
can represent everyone. And like, that was such a bad mindset for me. Like,
Yeah.
and for anyone, because you can't represent a whole culture or a whole entire race. Like you
Yeah.
can only represent yourself.
Okay. So and that was when you were going on your mission, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So since we're on that topic, let's talk about your mission.
Uh, alrighty.
So I know you. I know you. I did. You did mention it. I think you said that you when you went through depression and you got out of it and you went. Then you went on your mission, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, can you talk about that? Like what inspired you to made you inspired to go on your mission,
for sure.
and then talk about your process of going on the mission and your own experience and yeah, we can start off with that.
Awesome. So, what inspired me to go on a mission was actually Evelyn Leaney, one of the girls that you
Oh
interviewed.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Evelyn. Oh yes.
Yeah, she was part of that because she served her mission here.
Okay.
But also the primary children that I taught. Um,
Okay.
they they were a huge inspiration to me because of their knowledge of the gospel and their
Hmm.
willingness to accept the gospel into their lives and to like try all these different things. I was like, if this is what a mission is all about and this feeling that I'm getting inside is what a mission is all about, then I'm all for it. Sign me up. I'm ready to go. Um, and that's the
Yeah.
reason why I wanted to go on my mission. And I don't think I had ever not planned on going on a mission my whole life. Like that's always been a thought in the back of my
Yeah.
mind. But they were like my confirmation of saying like this is it. You should go on a mission. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. So
Yeah.
I submitted my papers February, and then I got my call in March, and then I left that July. And I was
Where
called.
did you go to? Where did you go serve?
I was called to the Portland, Oregon mission. So
Okay, Portland, Oregon.
yeah,
Okay.
yes, the OPM best mission.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So what were what were the how was it the first time when you went on your mission? Like how was that experience when you just went on your mission for the first time?
um, I was honestly really nervous my first day.
Yeah.
Um, Going into the MTC was the scariest moment of my life.
Yeah.
I had never been away from home for longer than 2 weeks, and it was always with my cousins.
Hmm.
So going on a mission, I had left everything behind. Like I
Yeah.
had family, I had no friends. I refocused everything onto the Lord. And stepping into the MTC, I was so nervous. But as the day went on, my MTC Missionary Training Center companion, I had met her online a few weeks before I had entered the MTC. And
Okay.
that was like a tender mercy from Heavenly Father. I was very thankful. But I stayed in the MTC for 3 weeks because I was an English speaking missionary. And those 3 weeks were the best 3 weeks of my whole entire mission. I loved them so much. Free food, just learning about the gospel, learning how to love the gospel in a different way. I was in heaven. um, but that was my favorite part of the mission. Honestly, I got to meet so many people, and then the week before I left, my cousin came into the MCC, and so I got to be with him until I left on my mission, and it was so funny. Just like random moments where we'd see each other, and since we're family, we can give each other hugs,
Yeah.
and people would be like, "Bro, why are you hugging this girl? She's like, you're not
Yeah.
related."
Yeah.
And I'm like, read the tag,
Yeah.
Bergeson, we're related. But that was probably one of my favorite parts of the mission. And then going into the mission field,
Hmm.
I was sick. I was sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
It was probably even more scary than going into the MTC because I knew that I was really doing it. That
Yeah.
was my commitment right there. Stepping off of that plane into Oregon, I was like, oh, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Lord's work. Heavenly
There's, there's,
Father, bless me.
there's no turning back now.
Exactly. Yeah.
What was the most challenging thing that you for you to get to adjusting to the mission? Because I know everybody has to adjust to go into the mission for the first time. But what was the biggest thing for you to learning how to adjust to that lifestyle?
Yeah. Honestly, I think the hardest thing for me to adjust was not being with tons of people and living with a sister,
Yeah.
because I've never lived with girls before, and
Yeah.
being somewhere that I'm stuck with one person for a span of a month and a half,
Yeah.
I was so scared. And it was one of the hardest things for me was to adjust to having another girl in the house with me, knowing that we were fending for ourselves. But like she was my dependent. Like if I had anything, I would depend on her. And if she had anything, she was depending on me. We
Yeah.
were two parts of a whole. And that was one of the hardest things for me to adjust to, was knowing that I can depend on that other person and knowing that I can trust them with everything.
Hmm.
But that was one of the hardest but the best things that I learned, was that it's okay to trust someone.
Okay. What was something you saw on your mission that you never like you never thought to expect to see on the mission until you go on the mission?
um I think this is a lot of missionaries, but like missionaries are not good. Like we're just like teenagers. We're literally just 19, 20-year olds out there doing the Lord's work, but like
Yeah.
we have our flaws. Like we're not
Yeah.
perfect. We're not like heaven sent angels. Well, we are, but like
Well,
we
you
make
tried.
mistakes.
You try to be.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I think that was like the biggest shocker for me, was like no one's perfect.
Yeah.
Like everyone is making their own mistakes, and we're learning from that. But I think that was one of my favorite things as well, is that no one's perfect and we're all trying at that time. But we have that step above everyone, that mantle that we sit upon, because we're set apart as missionaries, that we can go to the Lord and to be just a little bit closer to him, because we have that calling. We're a little bit closer to the Lord, and that veil is a little bit thinner because we are missionaries. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like even if we're struggling, like Heavenly Father is still giving us all these extra things to lean on him. And I think that was one of my favorite things that I learned.
Yeah. I feel like that's I mean, I feel like that's really prevalent in being Mormon. I feel like that's something that a lot of Mormons struggle with.
Yeah,
It's like, because everybody expects Mormons to be perfect. All right, and especially within our own religion, there's a lot of expectations for us to be perfect. To try to live a gospel life, which I believe is good, and we should always try our best to live close to God. Um, but I feel like sometimes, especially when we're younger, we feel like, oh, we have to
for sure.
be this way, and then if we don't, then it's like it's the end of the world.
Yes, we're going to hell.
I can't be going to hell. There's no salvation for us. We cannot be saved no more, right? Did you? I mean, just on your own experience, did you see a lot of missionaries struggle with that? Just understanding that it's okay to have flaws. It's okay to make mistakes and not be perfect. And did you also struggle? Did you ever struggle with that at all in some point in time in your life, that being, because you're Mormon too, and then like feeling that you have to be this perfect Mormon girl, that every and of course based on how you explain your life, and everybody, you're a leader, you've done a lot of great things in your life, being a student body president. So I can only imagine they just expect more out of you than the average person,
For sure.
right? To expect you to be more perfect than all the other girls, right? So yeah, I want to ask you that question.
For
Those
sure.
those those two questions. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I did see a lot of missionaries struggle with
Yeah,
knowing that they didn't need to be perfect,
yeah,
especially the new missionaries who would come out. It was really hard because we had high expectations for ourselves,
yeah,
but not knowing what to expect made those expectations even higher.
yeah,
And when we failed those expectations, we would be pretty discouraged a lot of the time. But having a missionary companion who had been out in the field at least a year or 9 months, and them saying like, hey, it's okay, we all go through this, like you're gonna get through this, and having that supportive companion really made a difference in a lot of missionaries that I've seen. And for me personally, I really struggled as a missionary,
yeah, yeah.
um, especially towards the end of my mission. So I only served 5 months in my mission because I came home for depression, anxiety, and self harm. But
Okay.
yeah, the one of the reasons why I was so sad was because I had given myself those expectations, and my companion decided that I needed to live up to my own expectations as well, even though they were unreachable. And she would push me to reach those standards, and it was, instead of like building me up, it would tear me down, knowing that she had these high expectations for me and I had even higher expectations, that I couldn't meet either of them. It was a struggle for me. It was, for me, it it broke me down even worse than I had been ever before. I had felt, I've never felt more alone in church before until that moment. And
Yeah.
until, yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So you're already struggling with your own expectations, and then you met somebody that actually put more expectations on you. It's like you feel like just more burden, like you're carrying more. If that
Exactly.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense. And of course, all of us, we all have our limits. We
Yeah,
can only take
for
so
sure.
much, and then eventually we break down. So um, I do want to talk about that also. You because I know you said that you came home early.
Hmm.
I want to ask you if you don't mind talking about that experience, because I've had a lot of friends that came home early, and and you know how it is in the Mormons. Like if you come home
Yeah.
early, you're gonna be looked and judged a certain way.
Yes. a
All
hundred
right,
percent.
so I mean, I feel for you, because I've had friends that came home early, and they didn't live up to the expectation of coming home with honors. Um, and then when they came back, they went through their own phase. They went through some depression and after.
For sure.
So I kind of want to ask you to talk about that. How, like, how was the experience? What you felt what was the reaction when you came back? What did you go through? And because I know it must have been tough because as
Yeah.
Mormons we grow up our whole life want to be on a mission, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
we want to come home and do our do our welcome home talk and give us and and live up to what everybody expects of us. But that's life. Just sometimes things don't work out. But
For sure.
that's why I love what you said about before, that God always loves us no matter what. We're all, at the end of the day, we're all His children. At the end of the day, whether we make mistakes or not. But I do want to ask you. I do want to ask you to talk about that. Um, you making your decision, deciding to come back. How did you feel? And then when you came back, and then what was the response and the reactions of everybody, and then how did that make you feel?
For sure.
And then yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. So I had been when I started to feel depressed, it was actually so this happened actually a year ago. Um but it was getting into winter, kind of fall, winter. And in Oregon, a lot of people have seasonal depression. And so
Yeah,
I was falling into seasonal depression there.
yeah,
And then I was put into a new area. I was with a new companion, and I had never met this companion before. And we moved into a new apartment, and we
hmm
were starting fresh. So there were all these things that we had to do, and I had to get to know this new companion, and I had to teach her how to be a proselyting missionary, because she was a sister missionary who served in at the temple, and so she'd never been a full-time proselyting missionary before.
gotcha.
So she was still training me, but I also felt like I was training her,
Okay.
and so it was we had like all these different things coming at us. And at the beginning we were really good. Like we were both focused, we both knew our goals, we had everything set. And as time went on, um there our flaws started coming out. We started to see that we weren't perfect in every way, that we
Yeah,
didn't always fit together, and that we disagreed on things. And
yeah.
and like that was okay. um but then there were a couple times where my companion and I would get into a little bit of an argument, and then she would lock me out of the room, or she would lock me out of our study.
Wow.
And yeah, and like
Wow.
as missionaries, that's not allowed. You're not
Yeah,
allowed to be without your companion. And like she would leave me alone for like 3 hours, and I would just be stuck in my thoughts.
yeah.
And for me that was terrible, like
Wait,
being stuck in my
you'll be stuck outside?
I'd be stuck, like I'd have the whole house, but
Okay.
she would like lock me out of the room.
Oh, got
So
you, got you.
I was alone.
Okay, got you.
And like being alone, it made me get stuck in my thoughts. And what did I do wrong? What did I do to her that made her feel this way? Why does
Yeah,
she not want to talk to me about things? And like I was internalizing everything that she did. And whenever she would talk to me about something, I would internalize that even more. And in my head, like having all those thoughts in my head was terrible. And it caused my depression to become depression and anxiety,
yeah,
worrying about what my companion would say to me, what she would do if I did something wrong, if she would yell at me because I didn't do the dishes, or because I was driving a little too slow, or because I didn't teach well in a lesson. I was just worried about everything that could go wrong, would go wrong. And towards the last 2 weeks of being in the mission, um, I remember having suicidal thoughts. I
oh wow,
remember
okay.
yeah. I remember sitting in one of our members' houses. Um, and this was in a Tongan ward as well. So we were
Yeah,
trying to learn Tongan on top of that. And I had no clue. And everyone looked towards me because I'm brown and she was not, to know what to
yeah,
do and to
yeah,
know everything about the culture. And so that expectation was put on top of everything as well. but we were at one of the members' houses, and I remember we were eating dinner with them, and they had like this huge knife that was just like sitting on the table. And when I saw it, my very first thought was, I could kill myself right now. Like, I could take the knife and just like stab myself, and like it would be okay. And that thought, when it came into my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not okay. Like, that's not an okay thought. I should never think that way.
Yeah.
And that night, as we were coming home, I told my companion when we got to the house, and she told me that it wasn't real, that I was doing it for attention.
Oh
And
wow. Man.
yeah, and I was like, uh, 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 I,
No.
I, I don't know what to do.
Like.
Like, you just told me that my suicidal thoughts are not real. Like, that it's fine that I'm thinking this way.
Yeah.
And like throughout the next week, like, she was sick, so she was left home and I was with other people. And then my very last night, it was a Monday night. It was the week of Thanksgiving. It was a Monday night, and I remember coming home from a lesson with her, and we sat on the couch, and she was telling me every single thing that I did wrong. And she was telling me how I needed to improve, that God wasn't approving of me, and my efforts weren't enough for anything, and that I needed to pray for forgiveness because I wasn't doing what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And I just felt that was my lowest point ever.
Yeah.
I felt like I'm doing everything wrong. And then she went into the bathroom and locked the door and just left me there. And I was thinking and everything. And then I walked into the bathroom, and I remember looking into the mirror and like looking at myself and I wrote on the mirror, "You are not good enough and you don't need to be here." And just just having those thoughts in my head and writing them on the board, I started to believe that they were true. And I was looking around, and I decided that I would try and cut myself to see if I would feel anything. And I started cutting, and I couldn't feel anything. I was like, oh, I'll do it again. And I did it 3 times and started drawing blood, and I was like, oh no, if I keep doing this, I'll get caught. And so I stopped, and I went to bed. And I emailed my mom that night because our P days were Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And I emailed her. I was like, hey mom, had a great week. We did all this stuff as missionaries. Oh, and I cut myself, but don't worry, everything's fine. We're going to hang out with the missionaries today at one of their apartments. And like, I just went on like it was a normal thing. And the next day, I got a call from my mission president.
Yeah.
And it was his wife actually, and she said, "Anna, I got an email from your mom saying that you cut yourself. Is this true?" And I walked out of the room, tears in my eyes, and I said, "Yes, it's true. It's true
Yeah.
that I did that, but don't worry, I'm okay. Everything's
Yeah.
fine." And she was like, "This is not okay, Anna. This is not healthy." Um, and then she put the mission president on the phone, and they added my parents to the call.
Yeah.
And by that point, I was in tears. I couldn't speak at all because I was so angry with myself that I had done the things that I did. And as the mission president was talking, he said, "Sister Bergeson, you have to go home. You have
Yeah.
to go home because you did self-harm, and
Yeah.
we cannot have you out here trying to hurt yourself and putting yourself in danger."
Yeah.
And that was a huge breaking point for me,
Yeah.
knowing that it was all because of me. All like those were my thoughts, that it was all because of me that I went home, and knowing that I couldn't do anything about it was the worst feeling in the world. I had done everything that I could to stay out on a mission and to be ready to go on a mission, and I ruined it right then and there. a couple hours later, I was sent home on a plane. And when I came home, I was coming down and walking through the terminal. I just felt disappointed in myself. And seeing my family, like, that was amazing, but I felt disappointed. Like, I didn't feel like that's where I was meant to be. I wanted to be back out in the field. I wanted to be a missionary, but I took that opportunity away from myself. And as I started to recover from everything, um, I didn't sleep the first week and a half that I was home. I always had someone with me so that I was safe
Yeah.
and not in my own thoughts. And then I started going to therapy with Fishi Molani. Um, but and he helped me a lot of reminding myself that it wasn't my fault, that I'm not the one that caused everything to happen, that it was all these events that led up to it, and because of cutting, that's a part of it, but it's not a whole thing. And he helped me to realize that the blame wasn't all on me. But I guess going back to one of your questions, like coming home and like how did other people take that? Um, I was really nervous actually to go to church. I didn't do anything. No one knew I was home for 3 weeks. Um, and then I decided that I wanted to go to church with my family. And I go to the Midvale 14th Ward, Tongan Ward, in the South Tongan Stake. And I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
I didn't want to walk into the building because all the thoughts and feelings in my head were that everyone would be disappointed in me, that all my primary kids would see me coming home and that they would be like, why are you home? Like, you're not supposed to be here. And all of my family members in the ward would be like disappointed because I didn't serve a full-time mission. But I was totally wrong. I walked into the building and my uncle, who leads the music, he came down from the stand and he saw me sitting there and he came over and he said, welcome home, Anna. We've missed you, and you are loved." And just knowing that him of all people, he accepted and loved me for who I am, and it didn't matter that I came home early. It just mattered that I was there and I was safe, was one of the biggest life changers for me. Knowing that I didn't have to worry about what other people thought, because as long as people who I knew loved me, then I was okay. I would be okay. And every single person in that ward, the bishop, the bishop's wife, all of the members, all of my primary kids, they all just loved me. There was no hate, no feelings of, oh my goodness, you didn't serve a full-time mission. They were all just there to love and appreciate me. And that was a tender mercy from Heavenly Father, 100%. Because a lot of times, like, we hear those stories where kids come home and everyone's like, oh my gosh, why are they home? Like, what did they do? But that wasn't the case for me. And I love that.
Okay. Yeah. Just and yeah. I always like yeah. I've heard so many stories of people coming home early, and I really appreciate you sharing that with everybody. Um, I do want to ask you is, how long did it take for you to kind of adjust to when you came back? How long did it take you to adjust and get back to normal life?
Um, it's taken me a year.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the biggest adjustments happen in the first 3 months. And that's when you start feeling good about everything. And then when something new comes up, you have to readjust again, for sure. But for me, it's taken me a year at least, and I'm still adjusting, still thinking like about different things about the mission. I still miss it, but I think at least a year.
Okay. And also, I want to ask you, because I know you did. You just talked about something that happens to a lot of people, and especially a lot of people that go on the missions. Sometimes people go through depression and it gets to a point where they feel like they start having suicidal thoughts. And what was there anything that you learned yourself? I know you talked about talking to that therapist. Like how, because that can be really really hard for somebody to go from being suicidal and trying to going back to adjusting, being normal. You know, and I don't want to say normal. I don't want to make it seem like you weren't normal because you had those thoughts.
For sure.
I'm trying to articulate. I'm trying to articulate the situation, but because I feel like you can definitely help a lot of people that's watching this right now that's having suicidal thoughts.
For sure.
And I want you to kind of share, how how did you learn to get back to being the best version of yourself and being happy and being who you are from that point of your life? And are there any things that you did or any kind of new beliefs that you had to adopt, or did you have to learn about self-love, self-happiness? um so that way people that are watching this, that are going through what you're going through right now, they can kind of apply that to their own life if they're not getting any help, if they're not getting any kind of assistance or support from the people. Because the one thing that you shared that I feel like a lot of people can understand, because sometimes when you go through those moments, you just feel like you're all alone, right? Like you feel like that
Yeah.
you're something's wrong with you, right? Like because man, you're a great person. You've done so much. You have a great life. You have a great personality. You have a great heart. You love to help people, and sometimes people that are that way just never. I think one thing I do notice from people that share those stories is when they go through the darkest times in their life, especially when they start getting suicidal, they literally forget every good thing about their life. Like they forget about all the good times, all the good things, all the positive things about themselves, and because that one phase of their life, that darkness kind of shrouds over, clouds their judgment of. They forget of all the positive things, and I think that's something that we all go through sometimes in life. That when we go through our darkest moments, we literally forget that there's light within us. Like we forget about our own light. So I just want to ask you, how did you remember your light? If how did you get to a point to go for that point to remember, like you are a great person, you are loving, you are a beautiful person, you have a kind heart, you're a good person, you are deserving of all the good things in life. God still has a plan for you. So I just want to share that. I want you to share with that, so that for the people that can relate to what you're going through right now, what you went through in the past.
For sure. Um, I I think I'm still working on self love,
Yeah,
and finding my happiness. But it goes up and down all the time. Like it's
yeah,
never consistent. Um, right after I came home from my mission, the one thing that I found joy in was service.
yeah.
Um, that is the one thing that I tried to immerse myself in,
Hmm.
because I felt that losing myself in helping others would help me to find myself.
Hmm.
Um, and
That's one of my favorite quotes, by the way. You heard of that quote?
yes,
Yeah, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the servitude of others. That's one of my favorite
yes,
ones. Yeah,
yeah. It's so true.
yeah,
I agree with that 100%. Um, and it did help me, but it only got me so far.
yeah.
Um, it gave me the opportunity to serve others and for them to serve me, and to grow my confidence just a little bit. And then I felt confident enough to step out of my shell and like start talking to people a little bit about mental health and wanting to make a change in that.
Hmm.
Um, and then I started working with National Tongan American Society, um, and they gave me an opportunity to make a focus group, for Pacific Islanders and mental wellness. Um, and that strengthened me. It was just an opportunity for everyone to come together and to share experiences, to share what they had gone through and how they had come back, and to share their resources that they had. And when people started sharing resources and experiences, it strengthened me. It helped me know that I'm not alone and that I can come back from wherever I'm coming from. And them sharing like ways to cope, like just self-love, like words of affirmation, that was huge for me, knowing that every day I could look myself in the mirror and say, you are good, you are worth it,
Yep.
you can be happy. That changed my mindset, to get those bad thoughts of you're not worthy of anything into you're worthy of everything, and you can do whatever you want to do and you need to do for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And having words of affirmation, I think that that changed my mindset, which helped me to be happier as well. And then not myself but my mom, she made her own commitment to give me a hug every morning and to say a prayer with me every morning. And
Nice.
she's been yeah, she's been doing that ever since I've come home from my mission. And it helped a lot, knowing that I could wake up every morning and to listen to my mom's words, and that she was willing enough to pray to Heavenly Father and ask for things and also thank him for things. And also knowing that she was always there to give me a hug, was one of my it's something I look forward to every day, is that she's always giving me a hug and knowing that she loves me, and that's her way of showing it. Um, that that helped me a lot when I came home, to know that she supports me, and even though she may not be here all the time because she has work and different things, but that I can always count on her in the morning. She'll always be there for me. Um, I think that's a big thing for mental wellness, is knowing who you have behind you, knowing who's on your team, knowing that you can fall back onto someone for anything that you need, because she's my number one supporter in everything that I do. And without her, I know I wouldn't have been able to get through my mission, to get through those couple months of being in a depressive state and having anxiety and self-harm. I wouldn't have I may not have been alive if she wouldn't have been so open for me in my emails and telling the mission president that I had sent that email. But like she's been a life changer for me and giving
Yeah.
me everything that I need.
Okay. Nice. I mean, the biggest takeaway what you shared, and especially for people that's watching this, that went that's going through their own depression or suicidal thoughts. Um, self love. That's what I got from you. You're learning to love yourself. I think that's important for everything in life.
Yeah.
Learning to love yourself, not only mental health, but for your own happiness, but for your own career and everything you do. Like, you have to learn to be able to appreciate yourself, that you're worthy. Um, the biggest thing I took away also was helping people. Um, and I also believe in that as well. I feel like that's one of the most important things you can do, is to go out there and help people, because by helping other people and giving them value and joy, it also it lets you forget about certain things that you go through, because you're just so focused on other people that you don't dwell on your own negativity. Because
Yeah.
sometimes because I feel like I always tell people that's going through stuff, that's struggling, the worst thing you do is lock yourself up in the room.
Exactly.
That is the worst thing. That's like the worst thing you do, uh, because you're literally locking yourself away from all the happiness, from all, because no matter how dark you are, no matter what you're going through, there's always good people out there. There's always happy people. There's always happiness out there, but you just have to go and find those people. Um, and locking yourself up and eating ice cream and snacks, and what makes it worse, when you do that, you come out that room overweight. Now you're unhappy and overweight. And now you just added now you're just like, yeah, now you're adding more
Yeah.
anxiety to yourself. But so I always tell people, man, just get out and go find good people and happy people, and just, or like I said, like, go help people.
Yeah.
go help people, because like you say, it just, and then what happens is, what I see in my own self is, when you realize that you have the ability to help somebody else be happy, you get reminded of your own of your own strength. Because
Yeah.
when you go help people, and then people come up to you, oh my, people come up to you, and they say thank you to you, and they say, hey, thank you for helping me, thank you for loving me, thank you, I wouldn't, to give you all that appreciation. You kind of empowers you. Oh wow, like I just, even though I'm kind of struggling myself in my own life, but wow, there are people out there that still believe in my kindness, or that are relying on me.
Yeah.
That maybe it's not a good idea for me to take an early train out of this world, leave this world. There are still people that want me, because I feel like sometimes when you get to that point of suicide, that you feel like that nobody wants you no more, or nobody needs you here. But then when you help people, you realize there are a lot of people out here in this world that need you. That can
Yeah.
kind of give you more like a purpose, to like a will to live. And I like that hug. I like that hug one. That's a good one. And, get some hugs. We need some hugs. I feel like hugging is, I feel like hugging is kind of undervalued nowadays. I think that's a good thing.
Very
We need a
much. Yeah.
hug. You need a hug. If anybody's watching, if you need a hug, I may not be able to give you a hug, but I can send you a hug emoji. So
Yes. Me too. I got you.
I'll definitely send you some hug emojis, but just to let you know, yeah. But that's cool, man. I really am very, I think that, thank you for sharing that. But I think that's, but that touches me, because I know I have people myself that went through in my own life. So I kind of just want to kind of give that perspective to everybody that's listening.
Of
All right.
course.
So you know what? Let's shift the. I know we talked a lot of dark stuff now, so let's get let's talk about some. So let's talk about some more some of your light. So I want to talk about you now. What are you doing now? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your passions in life? What do you want to? What is your purpose? If you know your purpose already, and I want you to kind of talk about that. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, because I want people to I want people to find out about you now, the person you are now. So I kind of want
Yeah.
to hear that.
Of course. So right now I go to Salt Lake Community College, and I work on their diversity, equity, and inclusivity board. So that
Hmm.
is just providing resources for everyone and helping them feel that they are included in Salt Lake Community College and anywhere in our community as well. And it also
Okay.
is not only for students who are diverse, but also for students who may be disabled or have impairments, anything like that. We just want them to feel included and loved and know that they're welcome at the school. And that's one of my jobs that I love to do right now. And we actually had our meeting this morning, but I just love to serve and do things for others. And I think that's one of the biggest ways that I can, is to sit on that board and help be a voice of students who feel that they are not heard. So that's one thing that I'm doing right now. Um, I guess another thing that I do is I work at a gym. It's
Okay.
called the Sports Mall. So if anyone is in Murray, I'll let you in for free.
Yeah. Get your
But yeah,
workout in. Holla,
for sure.
holla at Anna.
Yeah, but I love that job too. I love meeting all the people there. It's very interactive, so I love talking and listening to people's stories. Um, I also am going into elementary education currently,
Nice.
so planning to be a teacher. I'm not quite sure if I want to teach elementary or if I want to teach high school students. I feel that there's a lot of teachers that are needed right now, but also that a lot of students can make a huge change in the world right now with their influences. And being in elementary, I would be able to help those students remember who they are as they go
Hmm.
through the rest of their life. But in high school, I feel that if I was able to teach high school students, that I could teach them how to change the world by being themselves. So that's currently where I'm stuck at right now, is trying to figure out where I want to make a change in students' lives and who I want to change my life as well. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and where I'm at right now.
I'm gonna pray for you. Uh, Learn trying to teach little kids and high school students. Man, kids nowadays are hella bad now.
Yeah,
I
they're crazy.
I feel like the kids are nowadays are kind of living, because I grew up in, when I grew up, like, the teachers, everybody obeyed the teacher. Everybody listened to the teacher, but I don't know. I just been seeing too many videos posting like where kids are throwing stuff at the teacher. So I'm just,
Yeah, for sure.
but I know you can do it. I know if anybody can do it, you can.
Thank you.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice. So I do also want to talk about like you know we're because we're millennials, right?
Yeah.
So you're at the point right now in your life. You're trying to figure out your life. You're trying to figure out everything. So what do you feel like the hardest thing of being a millennial and trying to figure out your life right now? Because at this point in time in your life.
Um, I think from like just these past couple months,
Mhm.
um, I think a struggle not only that I've had, but a lot of us as millennials have had, is trying to fix the problems of the past.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like we have a lot of expectations on ourselves
Hmm.
because we're trying to fix things that have happened in the past, like racism. We're trying to fix that and make that right. And that right there, I think for me is one of the biggest things that I've struggled with is trying to say that this isn't my fault. This isn't something I can fix right now. And like it takes so many more years to fix a problem than it does to start a problem. Um,
Yeah.
but I know that like as of right now, even just like the small things make a big difference. That's what I've been trying to teach myself is that the small things that I can do right now make a big difference for the people in the future. And I've been trying to accept that, but that's something that I'm struggling with as well is that my smallest efforts can make a huge difference. Um, I hope that answers part of your question.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing that you want to change right now? What's out of all the things I'm sure there's a lot of things that you want to change and inspire and help the world. But what is your main one that you feel like that's the one that you really want to focus on?
Um, I think as of right now, I guess maybe not one of like the biggest problems, or it may not even be a problem. But one thing that I'm currently trying to push is advocating for higher education and for students in high schools, especially Pacific Islanders, to
Hmm.
know that there's more for them other than sports, that they can do things for themselves and they can come to colleges and know that there's an education waiting for them, that there are scholarships for them, that they can pursue higher education and be successful in something that they love. And even like getting a small degree, if it's in a trade school or anything, like that helps. It'll get you more money. It gets you out into the world. If you know the right people and know those names, that you'll be known and that it helps you in the long run. And I think that's one thing that I want to advocate for right now is that pursuing your dreams and pursuing the things that you love with an education will get you where you want to go. It may take a little bit of effort and of your time, but in the long run it's worth it. To have that future that you want, you have to start somewhere and you have to put an effort into it.
No, yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing you just shared. But also, I think that's one of the main things that we struggle with as Polynesians.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, because I feel like um, as Polynesians, I feel like we have so much potential, just like any other culture, any other
Yeah.
race. But a lot of times we don't. We're afraid to try new things, and I think you brought it up in the beginning of your story. Um, you were when people were judging you because you were doing things that were different.
Yeah.
And I feel like as Polynesians, we're so, you know, we're so stubborn. We just like to stick to what we know. You know,
Yes.
we're so afraid of we're so afraid of change. We're so afraid of the unknown. And if anybody that does pursue something different, that's not that goes against what everybody else is doing, they, you know, you're met with criticism and judgment.
For sure.
But that's but I feel like that's something that's really that we need to talk about more, is letting all these kids know that, you know, there are opportunities out here for you. You can go to college, and you can achieve something that's different. There is a better life out there for you besides what you see at your household.
Exactly.
You know, because I always hear that a lot of I see so many of my family members or cousins, like when they ask them about like their dreams and goals, like the word dream is like foreign.
Yeah.
When I say dream, that means literally a dream, just dreaming, sleeping and dreaming. That's what dream means in the Polynesian culture. It means they're asleep.
Yeah.
That's what they think when they say with the word dream. But for me, when I say dream, is imagining the possibilities of what's possible in your
Yeah.
life. All right, that's what I say. But it's so funny when you talk about dreams. Then dreams? What do you mean sleep? What are you talking about dreams? They're like, what the hell is that? What dreaming? We don't dream. We don't Tongans don't dream. You know, you want
For
me to put you to
sure.
sleep? You want me to put you to sleep? I'll put you to sleep right now. I think the only time we say dream is when we fight. But yeah, I think that's powerful because like I do want to. Let me ask you why do you feel like Polynesians don't strive more? You know, why do you feel like to try new things, or why do in your own opinion and in your own experience, like, you know, how come we don't see a lot of our generation of kids like try to do something different?
Okay.
Hello again.
We're good. We're good.
We're good. It's all good. Thank you. So when did I leave off before you cut off?
Um, where did I leave off, or where did you leave?
No, yeah. What was the last thing you heard
Um,
when I was talking?
it was just like what did I think about your pause again?
Oh, okay. Am I paused now?
No, you're good.
Okay.
But it was just like what was my um outlook on like Pacific Islanders as Tongans, and like why there were all these yeah.
So yeah, so that's my question to you. Is like, why do you feel like our culture doesn't is so it doesn't, doesn't, number one, why don't we pursue higher education? Because that's something you're passionate about. So what's the main issue that's stopping us from pursuing higher education? Your thoughts.
Yeah.
And number two, what can we do about it?
I think about pursuing higher education, it comes from not having scholarships through things that you're good at, especially with sports. I think education, a lot of times, from what I've seen, is based off of how well you do at sports. Is that sports comes first and then your education. But as you're taught when you do sports is that you're a student athlete, you're a student first, and then you're an athlete. But I think from an outside perspective of what I've seen with Polynesians and our culture is that athlete comes first and then comes student. And as well as family is before anything else as well. Um, and I know that that has held back a lot of my friends from going into higher education, is that they just need to work to provide for a family. They'll leave education to go back to their families. And I know my older brother did that. He, in my bio family, he had a full ride scholarship at Snow for football, and he left all of that to come back here and to support my birth mom and to help raise the kids. And I think like having a commitment to your family is great, but knowing that the value of education, knowing that if you stick with an education for long enough, that you will be able to get better jobs, you'll be able to get paid more. Knowing that just having that knowledge of a higher education brings more happiness, more wealth, more everything to a family is something that is there's a lack of. And I think as of right now, I think how to help with that is to start with the youth. The youth have a big voice in our Pacific Islander community, even though it may not be the voice that their parents want to hear. They have a say, and they have that voice that is heard all around the world, um, through whatever, through TikTok, through Snapchat, through Instagram. Their voice is being heard. And if you start with the students there, telling them all their resources, telling them that, hey, you can get a scholarship for being Polynesian. Like, you can go to school because you're Polynesian and get it paid for. You can go to school and get money because you're going to be a teacher and you'll get school paid for. Just giving them those resources and letting them know, like, this is what you can do. We can set up a plan for you, and that it will give you the ability to be higher than you expected yourself to be without it. And giving them those resources helps them know that it's okay. Like, life can be better than it is right now. And I think having the youth have those resources and giving them to their parents, saying like, hey mom, hey dad, I found this out, and saying like, I'm going to pursue this, but this is how it's going to help the family, this is how it's going to help me and you, this is how it's going to help everyone, is something that they advocate for. And then it'll push higher education into our Pacific Islander community, into the rest of the world, saying that, hey, look, we're here. We are Pacific Islanders, but we know how to work. We're hard workers. And look, now we know how to receive an education, and we're going to take over everything. We're these strong people, and we know our resources. We're not just here. We're not just representing sports, but we can be doctors, we can be lawyers, we can be anything that we want to be, because education is given to us freely. And I think that's a great place to start.
Man, you just fired me up right now. I'm ready to jump through a wall right now. Like, go, let's do this. Let's go out there, be somebody. that was a really good saying. I feel so inspired just listening to that. No, but I feel like, yeah, man, you hit the nail on that one. Like, I think for a lot of us, a lot of Polynesians, for a lot of kids, the reason why I think one of my favorite quotes, I'm trying to paraphrase it. I'm gonna paraphrase it. Uh, you only know what you see. I think that's something. You ever heard of Jay Shetty?
No.
Okay, he's one of the positive. He's like a motivational speaker I listen to a lot, but that's something I always took away from one of his speeches. You only know what you see. So sometimes when you grow up, what you see is the only. Your reality is based on what you see. So if all you see is the people within your own ethnicity or culture, the only way they can be successful is being a professional athlete, then that's going to be the belief and narrative that you tell yourself. Like, I can only become successful by being an athlete, because you don't know there's a different side. You just don't know,
Yeah.
right? And if we can provide like this, I love the work that you're doing. Bring awareness and attention to that. I think that's a powerful topic that we need within our community. But if we let kids know, like for me, I'm from, and I grew up in Tongan, right? And I came here to America to make a better life for myself, you know. But the only reason I knew that is because somebody I saw, I watched television and I saw the America on TV. All right, so I'm not gonna lie. I watched a rap video, a music video, and I saw everybody shaking and dancing. I was like, "Ooh, I want that." That looks cool. I think that's a lot better than working in the farms in Tonga. So,
Yeah.
but because I saw that vision of that idea, that made me to believe that there is a better way. So, and then that kind of inspired me to wanting to come here, and not only wanted to come here, but once I got here, that I was driven, self motivated to go out there and make things happen. Because America, there's a lot. That's why I love America. You see it all around the world. Like you see so many people doing well in life, and then you see so many people come from different struggles, come from different upbringings, and they still became successful. So that kind of motivates me to like, oh, they can do it, I can do it. But I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of Polynesian kids need to hear that, especially from our own people. Like if
Yes.
more people like you and me, anybody out there that's successful, that's living their life, that have a successful career, that's having raising a family, and they're living a life that makes them proud to be Polynesian, whatever profession they do. I feel like we need more of them to come out and let them know, speak up, share their story with people. And also, as us as people, we have to share the resources and let kids know, hey, not only you can be an athlete, but there are also other you can also be successful in other ways, and there's also scholarships out there.
Sorry, you're breaking up again.
Okay, cool. Is it better now? Better now?
Yes, yes, you're good.
Yes, yes. Good. All right. So,
Yes.
but what you shared was very important. A lot of people don't know that there are scholarships out there. Though there's so many different types of scholarships out there, and you just gotta apply for it. There's scholarships
Yeah.
there's scholarships out there for being Polynesian. There's out there for just being right-handed.
Yeah.
There's so many different types of scholarships out there. You just gotta apply. I remember I don't know if you ever watched, but there was this. Do you ever watch Shark Tank?
Yeah.
You ever watched that show Shark Tank?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you ever saw that episode, but there was this black kid that was on there, and he had this business of creating an app where go on this app and access all the scholarships in the world.
That's cool.
So I thought that was kind of cool, but I feel like a lot of people need to know that like there's so many scholarships out there that you
There
can apply
are.
for. Not only athletic scholarships, like
Yeah.
and academic. You don't need a 4.0 GPA to get a scholarship. Like
Exactly.
there are things, there are the different qualifications, but you just got to find out the information. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think what you said was you hit the nail on that one. Yeah, pretty. Yeah, we definitely need that,
Thank you.
more of that for sure. So yeah, but besides, I think we've covered a lot about your life. We talked about a lot about your life. So, do you have anything else? I mean, we talked about your life. We talked about your upbringing. We talked about your high school. You talked about going on your mission. You talked about the biggest struggle and the darkest and deepest moments you went through in your life. And then we also talked about a lot of things. The person you are now, and what you're doing, and your passion. Man, your story. I'm so glad that I'm so glad we didn't give up in the beginning, because we almost didn't make this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me too. Me too.
I'm so glad we didn't let the technical difficulties in the beginning, and thank God for Starbucks. um,
Yes, I agree.
but yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to share about your story, about what you've gone through in your own life that you feel like that you want people to hear?
Um, I guess the one thing, if people didn't pick it up from listening to this, is that throughout all of my struggles and through my highs and lows, I've always had a relationship with God. Like, God has helped me through everything that I've done. I wouldn't be who I am without Him. And if you like, even if people don't believe in God, just having that ability to believe in a higher being or something that's happening, like, I encourage people, to have that relationship in their lives, to have something that they can say like, oh, I agree, like there's a higher being above me who's creating all of these wonderful things around me. Like knowing that there's someone higher above you that you can depend on. I would encourage everyone to have that relationship, whether it be a god, whether it be many gods, whatever someone chooses, just to have that relationship with something higher than you. I know that that's helped me, and I know that it will help other people to have that person to rely on, or to have that thing that they rely on. And I think that's one thing that I want to leave behind.
Yeah, man, I cannot express that enough. Yeah, you just let everybody know out there that's watching this, like, God will always be there for us. And not only for you, I love how you share that. I really appreciate you sharing that. I think a lot of people need to hear that, but I think also for my own life as well. We all go through stuff, but I think, me personally, I feel like that's something we need to talk about more within the church. I feel like talk about more about like failing and making mistakes. I feel like sometimes we grow up as children. We they always talk about the perfect times and the good times of being a perfect person. I feel like I think I think with the youth, and I think we need to talk a little bit more about being our flaws, and what makes us different. So that way not only we grow up to be good, be faithful people, but we also know that we're also human beings, and there's nothing wrong with like making mistakes, and God's always going to be there for you no matter what. Man, yes, man. Whoever the people that you work with, they're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
All right, so I think we've come to the end of our podcast. I just want to say thank you. Very grateful for the opportunity. For making, even though we've had some little issues, but we found a way. We found a way to make this happen.
Yes.
We found a way to make this happen. Thank you for taking the time of sharing. One thing I always like to do, and is everybody that gets on that is on my podcast, I always ask them to share some final thoughts at the end. Just share a little motivational talk to everybody out there. You just talked about your whole life story. I know a lot of people are going to watch this, and they're going to relate to what you're going through, and then hopefully that can help them in their own life. But I just want to ask you to share some last thoughts for yourself, everybody that's watching, for yourself, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. I don't even know where to start, but I guess don't give up. Don't ever give up on your dreams. Whatever you feel that you need to do in life, do it. Take that stand. If you get pushed down, stand back up again. There are so many people in the world who will just give up and decide to be mediocre. But I challenge everyone to be the best that they can, to do what you can in your life, to leave a legacy behind that you want to be known for. Live every day like it's your last. Literally, you never know who you're going to impact in your life, or what small effort will do. Even a smile. If smiling's all you can do, then do that. You make a difference. Everything that you do makes a difference in someone's life. Talking to them, saying hello to them, no matter what you do, it makes a difference in someone's life, whether it's good or bad. Just remember that you make a difference, and you're needed here, and that everything that you do is noticed by someone, and someone looks up to you. And I think that's what I want to leave behind. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
That's all good. That was good. Nice. Thank you so much. So, but that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the record button, and then we can talk right after.
Awesome.
All right. Cool. Give me 1 second.